This week, we're talking about cystic fibrosis-related diabetes.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Staying Salty. My name's Chelsea, and if you've never been here before, Staying Salty, this channel is about 6 different people sharing their stories about what it's like to live with cystic fibrosis. If you don't follow me on my social media account, specifically my Instagram, then you don't know that I have a lovely companion joining me today for my video, which is my port and IV antibiotics. The joys of living with cystic fibrosis, specifically in the fall once all the germs start coming out. But this week I was put on IV antibiotics to help fight an exacerbation, which in CF terms is a lung infection. But us CFers have bacteria that grow and stay in our lungs, usually at a baseline number, but exacerbation is when those numbers skyrocket and we essentially get a lung infection with excess mucus and the whole shebang, feeling horrible. So that is what I'm dealing with this week. But aside from that, if you can't tell, it's really cold here. And I just moved from California to Atlanta, and it's 40 degrees here today. This is one of the only things I own to combat 40-degree weather. So I've been rocking a beanie all day. I was wearing flip-flops yesterday and almost froze my feet off. So I think I need to up my game when it comes to not living in California anymore and dealing with the actual winter that happens in the rest of the world. But on to today's topic. If you can't tell from the title, it is CFRD, which simply is cystic fibrosis related diabetes. Now, CFRD is kind of its own entity within the diabetes community, meaning it's neither type 1 nor type 2 diabetes, but it is its own monster all in itself. Obviously, from the name, it is derived from having cystic fibrosis. The easiest way for me to explain why that happens is actually from, if anyone else watches Grey's Anatomy, one of the main rules in that entire show is, number 1, don't screw with the pancreas, because the pancreas has to do with so many vital functions within the body, such as digesting food, glucose control, and so many other things that once you mess with it, it's very hard to get it under control. Most people associate cystic fibrosis with a lung disease, which, yes, it affects so much the lungs, but overall it just increases mucus production all over the body. So that means not only in the lungs, but the GI tract and also the pancreas is affected by this increased mucus. Where CFRD comes into all of this is essentially your pancreas is hanging out over here somewhere in your abdomen, and the excess mucus lays on top of it, kind of just masking it. So all of the enzymes that it would normally be producing to go into your stomach, into your GI tract to break down food, meat, anything that you ingest is getting stuck on top of the pancreas because of this layer of mucus. So what did I say it was supposed to be doing to your stomach? Digesting things. So what do you think it's doing sitting on top of the pancreas? It's digesting the pancreas, which you don't want it to do, which is not a good thing. So the reason most people don't see CFRD until later in life is because that actual degradation of the pancreas takes some time to happen. And for some people, it never happens. Some people, it doesn't break down enough of the pancreas to cause an issue. But for a lot of people, specifically even young people, my dog just kicked my tripod, sorry. But specifically young people, it can happen very fast. But once this little pancreas is harmed, it starts having a whole host of things go wrong. And one of the things that goes wrong is CFRD. So unlike type 1 or type 2 diabetes, this isn't diet related. This isn't, we aren't born with it. It's simply a malfunction of the pancreas and the inability of the insulin to get into our blood to break down that glucose. The reason I say this is because a lot of people try to medicate CFRD with diet, where the underlying problem with it isn't our diet, it's actually the pancreas itself, the organ that isn't functioning properly. So actually, in order to treat CFRD, most physicians will simply forego any type of diet restriction and simply prescribe insulin. One of the main reasons for that, which I am a big proponent of, is because of weight loss. Cystic fibrosis makes our body go into hyperdrive and run through all of our calories, and essentially our metabolism is that of a 10-year-old. So trying to keep weight on as a CFer is very, very hard. So once you start cutting out carbs and sugars and things like that, I know from personal experience that weight loss can be a very, very slippery slope once you start going down it. And honestly, for me, it wouldn't be worth that risk of becoming underweight to try and mediate my sugars when I could simply take insulin. So you might be asking, I'm talking so much about this CFRD, do I even have it? No, I do not. I have had it though, which might sound strange because I just said you can't get rid of it. But when I was very, very, very sick back 4 years ago, I actually was borderline and partially diagnosed with CFRD for about 6 months. What I had to do was like I was saying, I had to go on insulin, I had to check my sugars all day, figure out how in the world to navigate having diabetes and having insulin and what in the world to do. The way I personally was able to get out of that was making myself as a whole healthier. My mentality was that my body was so focused on breathing, on circulation, on making sure that my vital organs were functioning, it kind of put other things to the back burner, including insulin production. My oxygenation was horrible, my sugars, my insulin production was horrible. My body had essentially gone into fight or flight mode and put all of its resources into getting me healthy enough to stay alive, because if we're not alive, our body doesn't need to worry about digesting our food. If we're not breathing, nothing's going into our stomach to be digested, and our sugars are completely irrelevant at that point. So my body kind of mediated its resources and sent all of its soldiers to my lungs, my heart, and my vital organs. That was the reason I needed insulin and I was diagnosed with CFRD, because I simply didn't have the soldiers to fight everything at the same time. Some things started falling by the wayside, and one of those was my pancreas. So I was on insulin and checking my sugars for about 6 months, and it wasn't until I got healthy enough to get off oxygen, be able to go to the gym, have a normal weight where my body wasn't constantly fighting to keep weight on, where I was able to get off of insulin and I was able to stop checking my sugars, and I was then undiagnosed with CFRD, or I was simply put in remission where it wasn't an issue anymore. Today, I haven't had any issues with CFRD in a long time, and I attest that to simply keeping my body as healthy as I can. Like I said, it's kind of one of those unavoidable evils in a way for cystic fibrosis patients. Not everyone's going to get it, but as those enzymes keep eating at that pancreas, it might be something a lot of us have to deal with at one point in our life. But the way that I was able to help keep my pancreas and all of my insulin and my sugars as healthy as I could was to keep my body as healthy as I could. So that would be my number one suggestion to anyone going through maybe borderline CFRD or fighting that right now. Focus on your health, focus on getting healthier, because once your body is healthier, everything starts falling into place a whole lot easier. At the end of the day, You have to take care of your body, and if that means taking insulin, then that's just one more thing that you do to help your body be the best version of you that you can. Because if we're not digesting our food, then we're not getting the nutrients we need, we're not fighting as hard as we can against this disease, and we need to fight as hard as we can because CF is trying to take us down just as hard as we're fighting back. But the way we can fight back most is simply by staying as healthy as we can, eating right, making sure we're exercising, making sure we're doing everything, maybe that includes insulin for you, to keep your body healthy and running and digesting food and getting nutrients in ourselves as best as we can. So whatever you're doing, I applaud everyone who deals with CFRD on a daily basis, because the little bit that I had to deal with was so overwhelming, and my heart really goes out to everyone who does, because it is such a hard element of cystic fibrosis, as if we don't already have enough to deal with. So everyone out there, you're a fighter, keep going at it, and I'm with you. Anyone who's on IV antibiotics, clearly with you there too. So keep fighting, and if you want, check out my Instagram. I always post updates on my life, my CF, my yoga journey, as I'm going through yoga teacher training right now. So plugged into an IV and doing downward facing dog is always a great picture and very interesting. So sorry this video was a little long, a little rambly, but that's all I have to say about cystic fibrosis related diabetes. And if you want, I will put all of my social media accounts down below, as well as the channels. If you like this video and you like all of what we're putting on here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and there's some bell somewhere that you're supposed to get notifications on, and you'll get notified when we put up videos. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out Tara's video tomorrow and check out whatever video we're putting up next week. But hope you guys enjoyed and have a great rest of your day. Keep fighting, I'm with you, and remember to #stay salty.